Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me for WLBT Plus. My name is Kara Shirley, your digital news desk host, and it is Wednesday, May the 20th. Thank you so much for being here with me. If you're watching on our website or through our mobile app, appreciate you. And if you're watching on any of our social streams, we appreciate you viewing or tuning in as well. Don't forget, you can always leave your thoughts, comments, questions, suggestions, anything like that in the comment section on our social streams, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, anything like that. Do appreciate all of you for tuning in with us today. We are expecting some heavy rain, possibly severe weather as we move into the afternoon hours. So we are going to be taking a brief look at our forecast in just a little bit. But of course, our first alert weather team will be here at 2:30 to give you that in-depth look at your forecast. So make sure you're here at 2:30. Before we jump into the news, let's go ahead and look outside over Jackson right now. Pretty cloudy skies out there right now, as you can see, because that rain is moving in. We are expecting it, but all in all, still a pretty day. Still a pretty day. So pretty hot too. Pretty hot out there. We don't want to see too break in the clouds or anything like that, because if we can keep that cloud layer in, it could help to keep from the severe weather getting even more severe. But again, first alert weather team at 2:30 today will be able to give you the in-depth details of our forecast throughout the rest of today. Let's go ahead and jump into the news now, where Jackson Police Department are asking for your help, the public's help, in identifying some people who are responsible for illegal dumping. Not only they're asking for your help to find them, but that we have surveillance video of these individuals dumping. So here is the surveillance video here for you on your screen. So this shows the suspects taking the trash off of these vehicles and just throwing it to the side of the road. This happened at areas along Kingswood Avenue, LaSalle Street, Glen Aaron Street, Green Hill Place, and McRaven Road. So if you have any information on this, if you know who these people are, if this looks very familiar to you, please contact Jackson Police Department or Crime Stoppers and let them know. Looks like Jackson Police Department is saying, we're not playing anymore. You dump and we get it on camera, we are going to be releasing that. So again, if you have any information on those suspects, please contact Jackson Police Department or Crime Stoppers. And Jackson Police are investigating what is a possible road rage shooting. So this incident happened, I have the map here for you, pull it up. The incident happened it resulted in a crash on West Ridgeway Street near the intersection of Bailey Avenue. As you can see, the crash scene here, that's pretty close to Livingston Road. So the JPD says that this all started when they came to investigate the wreck there. Then they learned when they went to investigate the wreck that shots had been fired at the SUV. You can see the wrecked vehicle. You can see the gunshot wounds. Now, I'm not wounds, but the gunshot holes. So thankfully, the driver was not injured in this, but JPD does believe that the shooter may be driving a small red sedan. So if you have any information on this, please contact JPD or Crime Stoppers. And Jackson police have identified the victim of a shooting that happened across the street from an elementary school on Monday. So the school that this happened at was Green Elementary School, as you can see here on your screen, and you can see where the shooting happened as well. So 3 on your side was the first there on the scene to that shooting. I was on Hillside Drive near Forest Avenue across the street from Green Elementary School. Chief Joseph Wade says that Jeffrey Bolton was found dead from multiple gunshot wounds. His body was found in a driveway there. So Jackson Public School District says that Green Elementary was placed on a temporary lockdown because of the shooting. Once students were dismissed, they were taken to a place away from the front of the school. That's where they held dismissal at. Chief Wade called this shooting disturbing.
School was in session. Babies were here. And this knucklehead, this idiot, whoever it is that decided to take this man's life was foolish and reckless. And we cannot have this here in the city of Jackson when we put our babies in jeopardy when they're trying to get an education.
So police are asking for you to come forward if you have any information that could identify the person who was the shooter in this situation. Like I say to you all the time, if you have Ring doorbell cameras, if you have a security system, go back and check, go back and look and see if you see anything. And if you see something that looks out of place, suspicious, or if you have maybe captured the shooting, turn that information over to the Jackson Police Department so we can find out who is responsible or possibly responsible for the death of Jeffrey Bolton. And of course, our thoughts go out to the family, to his family and friends. So we have given you or told you about the a notorious serial killer, Glenn Edward Rogers. We told you about him being executed last Thursday in Florida. Well, the family of one of his likely victims here in Jackson was watching after decades of agony. So the 64-year-old was put to death by lethal injection for murder. He was convicted of there in Florida. He was also the prime suspect in the stabbing death of Linda Price here in Jackson. She was killed in her apartment in 1995. Price had been dating Rogers after the two met at the Mississippi State Fair. Price's mother and sister were there to witness, or they witnessed his execution, and we hear from her mother now.
It's no more, no more Glenn. We won't never have to hear things that he's done, or all this. It's over with. Me and my mom and our family, all of our family, are so glad that this execution is over with, and we've got a closure now on Linda.
Apologize. That was Linda's sister there. So Rogers was never tried for Linda Price's murder. However, I said he was put to death there in Florida last week. And even though school may be ending for this school year here in our area, one thing that's not ending is the conversation about teachers' salaries. Mississippi is on the bottom, back on the bottom compared to other states when it comes to the average teacher salaries. So it was just 3 years ago that legislator passed a historic raise in pay for public school teachers. So this report from the National Education Association shows that now Mississippi has dropped from 48th place to 51st for average teacher pay. The legislator passed the historic raise in 2022, but it has not raised salaries any further in the 3 sessions since then. 3 on Your Side did question some lawmakers on the House Education Committee about why they think the state's return, or what they think rather about the state's return to the bottom.
I think everybody that I talked to in the legislature is all in favor of making sure that we can give our teachers the best salary we can, but it's a moving target that it seems like we'll never be able to get our head above water so long as the moving target and there's no ability to ever catch up.
So important for the Mississippi legislature to stay consistent, never take your eye off of the prize, because that is exactly what the states are doing around the Southeast. Once one state moves up, they're looking in ways of how they can also increase what they give their teachers, because they want to retain their best and brightest.
Representative Gibbs did note that districts and teachers have not forgotten about the pay issue. He points to Jackson Public Schools, which raised the salaries at the local level when the district received more money through the new state funding formula that was passed last year. And efforts are underway in Yazoo City after flash flooding affected more than 30 homes over the weekend. So here's the video that we have for you of that. So the heaviest rainfall was between 5 and 7:30 Saturday morning. This is a bird's eye view of the aftermath of that flash flooding. Water covered much of the downtown area. The emergency management director of Yazoo County, Jack Willingham, says the city got about 3 to 4 inches of rain in a 2-hour period. Residents are now cleaning up the mess that was left behind.
I woke up, I seen nothing but water because I was asleep. I didn't even know it had rain. And when I woke up and came outside, the water was up to my ramp.
As the days progress, we've had a couple of people that may be looking for a place to stay. We're working in conjunction with the Red Cross to see about getting a shelter set up at a local church for the possibility of those that need a place to stay until they can get some things turned around in any of these situations.
Willingham and his staff are continuing to assess the damage across the county. Again, like I said, we are expecting more rain in the area today. Hopefully, they will not be affected by this and we'll have no flooding from today's rain. And in Madison County, a new justice court clerk will be taking over the position just 2 weeks after 2 other employees were terminated. So Monday, let me turn that down for you. Monday, the Madison County Board of Supervisors appointed a new Chief Deputy Justice Court Clerk. The supervisor, Paul Griffin, elected to appoint Sheila Taylor to the position with a yearly salary of $85,000. Taylor had already been working there in that department. This appointment comes after the board terminated 2 employees during the last meeting for being suspected of stealing around $3,000 in county funds. Sheriff Randy Tucker did not update the public on the investigation or when or if those funds would be recovered. And former Hinds County supervisor has now landed a job here with the city of Jackson in the final days of the Lumumba administration. David Archie was recently hired as the mayor's office staff assistant. That is his title, mayor's office staff assistant in the Department of Constituent Services. So Archie confirmed the hire when Wlbt reached out to him on a Monday afternoon. What Archie had to say about that was, I will give the best service any citizen in this. I will give the best service I can any citizen in the city. And that's what we're about. That was his statement regarding his new position. Now, Archie previously served as the District 2 supervisor from 2020 to 2024. He was defeated in his bid for re-election by Anthony Tony Smith in the 2023 Democratic primary. He then went on to run for the mayor of Jackson this current year in 2025. He lost out in a very crowded field of Democratic candidates. He later then endorsed the current mayor, Chokwe Antar Lumumba, but Lumumba was also defeated in the Democratic primary. His term will end on June the 30th. But David Archie now is a employee with the city of Jackson. So we are going to take a quick look at our weather in just a moment. But before we do that, let's hear from our sponsor over at Jackson Water.
Hey, Jackson, curious about our water system? Join the Jackson Water Academy to get the inside scoop on our water and sewer operations. 3 sessions, 3 months, and a whole lot of hands-on know-how. You'll even get a behind-the-scenes tour of the O.B. Curtis Water Treatment Plant. So if you're ready to dive in, head to jacksonwater.com/wateracademy or give us a ring at 601-500-5200 to apply. But hurry, spots are going fast.
And thanks again to Jackson Water for sponsoring WLBT Plus. Let's look at our forecast real quick, looking at our current temperatures outside, sitting in the upper 80s out there across a majority of our area. And if we look at our current radar, we don't have any rain on the radar just yet. We do have some in the counties north of our viewing area, north of Humphreys and Holmes County, but it's not here just yet. However, if we look over the next 12 hours, you can see it starts to pick up, especially once we go into the nighttime hours. We go into 50% chance around 9 o'clock, but we are dipping down into the mid 70s into the overnight hours. Now, once we get past today's rain, we are looking at a pretty pleasant forecast for the rest of the week. Sunny skies, no chance of rain, lows in the 60s. So it will be a little cooler than it has been overnight. We got to make it through the rain and the severe weather chance today, though. 2:30 today, of course, our First Alert weather team will be here, and they'll be able to provide that in-depth look at your forecast, and will also be live to be able to answer any questions. So if you have any questions for them, then make sure you join in on our social streams so you can ask them there. Let's talk about some good news now coming from the Howe's St. Patty's Day Parade and Festival. Children's of Mississippi received a generous donation thanks to the efforts of organizers over the Howe's St. Patty's Day Parade and Festival. So founder Malcolm White announced that officials raised more than $200,000. So those funds go directly to supporting the hospital's mission and providing quality care for children and families in need. That includes funding research, new technology and equipment, and support for families as they navigate their child's healing journey. Families joined officials to express how the money helping the hospital in turn helps them with their experience.
And one thing I can say, we would not have made it without this hospital. When I tell you they treat you better than family, I never thought someone could love my child more than me until I got here. They put me at such ease where I went home and I felt comfortable with taking care of her myself. They taught me everything. So without this hospital, I would truly be lost.
The Howe's St. Patty's Day Parade and Festival has taken over downtown Jackson for more than 40 years. I'm glad to see some good coming out of it for the Children's Hospital. And we continue to follow a story that we first brought you last week in our Fight the Blight series, where city and county leaders are now working to fix a trashy problem that was happening at Chapel Ridge Apartments. So that apartment complex located just off of Raymond Road. We've reported multiple times about illegal dumping happening there, trash piling up at the complex, and lots of progress is being made, especially when you compare it to what it looked like last week. So county leaders jumped into action to help out. They got waste management to bring 2 dumpsters so crews could haul the trash away. However, the trash started piling up because there is no one to collect it. The complex has been without a property manager for more than 2 weeks now. That's not all. The owner, who recently pled guilty to wire fraud, was sentenced to more than a year in federal prison. The volunteers have spent the past few days lending a helping hand and cleaning up the very messy situation there. And they say improving living conditions for residents is their top priority.
No longer is there like a stench, odor. The residents really don't have to worry about any rodents at this time because everything is getting picked up. And like I said, it's just great to see the city of Jackson coming together to do this for the residents.
You have children, you have seniors, you have people just basically trying to live. And for somebody that owns a complex to just let it go like this, somebody has to take a stand. So we have decided to take a stand.
So this is just a short-term solution, unfortunately, because this property is privately owned and not the city's responsibility. And the city the city cannot use its resources to clean up this complex. However, Councilman Vernon Hartley, who represents this area, says that he is working to see if the complex can be declared a nuisance, which could then allow the city to come onto the property and clean it up. He plans to bring this up in today's city council meeting, which will actually happen for the first time in several years, will happen at 6 o'clock tonight. So we will be watching that, and we'll report on it tomorrow and let you know what happens with this situation in the city council meeting and anything else that may happen during that. Well, if you have a Netflix account and you watch it a lot like I do, you may have seen previews for the new documentary on Brett Favre. Well, we always, as CJ Lemaster did a story on it yesterday, where he actually got to speak with some of the executive producer, one of the producers of this documentary. So he said football did make Brett Favre famous, but it was the bribery scandal, the welfare scandal, which made him infamous. Brett Favre's life is going to be debuting in this new Netflix documentary today. It's titled The Untold, Fall of Favre, and it details the peaks and valleys of the legendary quarterback. So while part of it does focus on Favre's rise to prominence in professional sports, the film also dives into the more controversial parts of his life, including the allegations of stalking, sexting, and the welfare scandal. The nearly 10 minutes of the hour-long documentary recaps Favre's alleged involvement in the TANF scandal. He's never been criminally charged in the welfare scandal. Favre has not. He also declined to comment on that in the documentary. So there is a civil case involving Favre and the Department of Human Services that is continuing, and hoping to get back some of that welfare money that was given out to places that it should not have gone.
The footage we got from his childhood to even his USM days is like, that'll take some people back. I think it's like there'll be some nostalgia. We're going to be covering a lot of ground, like a lot of people already know, like the death of his father and how he courageously came back and played hours later against the Raiders on the road. And like there's like things that people are like, oh wow, that's great. It's going to be some good memories for a lot of people for some of the documentary, because we're like, nope, you got to tell the good and the bad, and we did that.
We shouldn't be surprised.
AJ Perez serves as the executive producer of the film. That's who you just heard from there. He also covered Favre's involvement as a sports reporter. So that debuts on Netflix today. Again, the title of the documentary is Untold, The Fall of Favre. So if you want to check that out, you can. Well, guys, that is going to be it for WLBT Plus today. First Alert Weather Team will be here at 2:30 to give you that look at your forecast, that in-depth look at your forecast. So make sure you're here for them. I will be back tomorrow, and I hope to see you then. Bye-bye.